Good morning. It's Sue from Snake River Stamping. Welcome to my stamp room this morning. Actually, it's Saturday afternoon for real time for me. This is a pre-recorded video because I'm busy on Monday, and but I wanted to still do our free card class for you. So thank you for joining me. I'm really glad you're here. I am going to point the camera down and do a few announcements, and we're going to get started. Don't forget, through the end of this week, through Friday, at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time, pay attention to the Mountain Time part. And if you don't live in Mountain Time, then you have to adjust that for your time. Mountain Time. The joining special, the best joining special ever, to get a starter kit. They have two offers. Pay $35 and you pick your own $125 worth of free product. Well, it costs $35, but $125 worth of product. They pay the shipping. You have to pay tax, of course, but that is just a screaming deal. If you would like more, you can pay $99 and get $189 of product with their other choice. Everything is online. As soon as I start this video, my nose starts to run, excuse me. So this is their best deal that anybody has ever seen in the whole Stampin' Up! Career that they have offered. And it does not mean you have to make videos. It does not mean you have to hold classes. You can just be a discount or savvy shopper and get your discount for as long as you want to stay active with that. Don't forget that they still have their 12 Days of Crafting Advent Calendar available, and that is literally as long as they're available, and once they're out, they're out. These are $99, and you can put that in your starter kit. Oops. Change the camera. Accidentally. Gotta move that up there. Okay. Don't forget to shop the Last Chance products under your specials tab. There's a lot of great things, and some of them are on sale. Okay. Don't forget on your menu tab, there's online exclusives. Like I'm going to be featuring the Elegant Pine Snowflakes suite today in the card that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to share several other cards with you using the fold that I'm going to teach you. Anyway, there's just a lot of things available under the online exclusives that you'll want to take a look at. And we have new online exclusives coming in November, next month, which will be, gosh, that's next Saturday. Yeah. And so anyway, I just printed off, I mean, I don't expect that you can read these, but you can just see in the online exclusives, like how many things, like these are some of the new things that are coming. And in your starter kit, you can actually do some pre-ordering and get ahead of everybody else, and if you'd like to order some of the new stuff that's coming out. But they just have pages and pages of stuff in their online exclusives. Okay. Paper Pumpkin, October's done. That's already been shipped out, but if you would still like to get in on November 10th is the date you have to subscribe by. And it looks like this is going to be another Christmas-like kit. It's going to make 8 projects for gift cards and small treats, it says. Foldable box bases, pre-cut paper pieces, embellishments, coordinating colors, basic beige, cherry cobbler, mossy meadow. And in the December kit, you need to order or subscribe by December 10th. once you subscribe, until you unsubscribe or pause your kit, you'll keep getting them. And it's this Water and Bloom set. It makes 9 cards, 3 of each design, 3 of 3 designs, so, and 9 coordinating envelopes, copper foil, copper sequins, pre-cut paper and vellum. Coordinating colors would be copper, garden green, night of navy. They send you Stampin' spots to go with it. And if you want to, you can order this die kit that goes with all 3 of these. Okay, my October specials. Of course, at the $20 threshold, you start earning your own Stampin' rewards, and you accumulate those in your account. And you can use them anytime after you do an order. You have to do an order, and then on the next order, they're available, and going forward. That's how they work. $40 order, I will send you 4 card kit, and you will get 2 of each of these cards in the card kit. They look like this, or some, you know, you get this stuff to put it together, and I talk in a short video I will also send you on how I colored my tree. Doesn't mean you have to color your tree that way. It's just one way to do the tree that I send you. I will cut out the tree, you get the gems, you get all the stuff to do all these. You get 2 for Christmas and 2 for autumn cards in my card kit this month, featuring the Autumn Toile, DSP, and Traditions of Christmas. And of course, you still get your Stampin' rewards. $50, you get the card kits, the Traditions of Christmas PDF, which is a different card. And with the PDF, you just get the PDF. You don't get the materials to do it. You just get the PDF, and you can put those together yourself and your Stampin' rewards. $75, you get your card kits, the PDF, gems, and your Stampin' rewards. So you get a package of gems, and it's getting closer to Christmas, so I've ordered in some Christmas gems to send with these. Remember, qualifying orders are before tax, shipping, and any coupons or redeemed Stampin' rewards that you might have at that time. Okay, so I wanted to share with you, if you didn't see last week on Monday the 20th, we made these really pretty cards. And these were called concertina cards, yeah. Concertina cards. And I shared measurements and stuff on last week's video. But this is the one I think we made together. And they kind of go in and out. They fit together. And we did, I showed several different examples. We made one together. And I showed you some different ways you could use these cards. You can make them fall, you can make them Christmas. This one was a birthday card. This is one I did not use, a piece I did not use. This is another fall card. They're gathering together. This was the Fall for Toile. And this was the Elegant Pines. This was a set from last year, a paper from last year that I had. And then this paper, the Perennial Lavender, is in our annual catalog for you. Okay, so those are the cards that we did last week. This week, we are going to be focusing on branching out, which is a fairly new set that came out in the mini catalog. Excuse me, just trying to press all the buttons. And with this card set, we are going to be using the branching out dies that I've used several times. I love these nesting dies. And we're going to be using some of the stamp set that you can see on the front. And I already have some of these mounted on blocks that we're going to be using today. So I have a few examples that I'll share with you in just a little bit. And we're going to make one today. Keep those in there. And I do have the directions typed up, and they're right here. I will share, or the measurements, not the directions, the measurements. You're going to start off, if you make this, I mean, I have several, like I said, several different examples. The one I'm doing today are the products that I linked in my video for you. Okay, so it's an old olive card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.5. So 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.5. Then I chose the Elegant Pines again. They have so many different wonderful papers, designer series papers in there. And this one is 5.25 by 4, and that is going to go on the front of this. Okay. The inside panel is 5 by 3 3/4, so 5 by 3 3/4. And I put a note on myself, do this first, stamping it here before I cut and start doing stuff on the outside. Because once you start putting this together, it's hard to put the panel in, and I'll show you. I made that mistake with one of them. I was concentrating so hard on making the mechanism that makes this go that I didn't I forgot to put on the inside card. So you'll need a piece of basic white, about 2.25 by 3.25, and you're going to use die number 5. And I have these dies. I number mine in my head from outside to in, so there's 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I used die number 4 and number 5 to make what I'm going to make today. So this one, the white one that's going to go on the outside, is die number 5, and the one that's going to go on the card is die number 4. And one of the things I forgot to do is I need to bring over my cut and emboss machine, but I can't put it on the table, this table, because it shakes way too much. But I'll show you the what I'm going to put it together with. I'll show that to you. You don't have to cut it to the side. Okay, so we have these two. And then the rest of these are old olive. We have a pop-up box that's 3 by 2, and you score it on the long side at 3/4, 1.5, and 2.25. And like I said, I typed this up for you. Then the slider part is about 2.5 by 2, and you score it 1 inch on the long side of that. And then if you want to have pine boughs on the front of your card, and we're going to talk about what you want to put on the front of your card. You need about a 2 by 3 inch piece to die cut some pine boughs out of these dies that come with the nesting dies. Okay, so those are the items that we have. So one of the things that I said was it's easier to put this panel in before you start putting the mechanisms in that make the pop-up slider. But you can put the front on and cut the front. So we're going to start with these two, and then the third thing, we're going to do this inside in just a moment. So I'm going to take this, and it's really important because we're going to cut out of the middle of this with our larger die number 4. So it's really important that when you adhere this, that you adhere it. There's my glue. I was going, gosh, no glue. That you adhere it only on the edges. And you can use seal. You can use glue, but you're only going to do it on the edges. Okay. You can see that I just put it on the edges because I'm going to cut something out of the center that I want to pop out. And there's really no right side up or upside down on this. It's just kind of whatever you think on this particular pattern. I was looking for a pattern that wasn't too big from this set because I'm going to use some other stuff from this set and see what you think about it. Okay, so now we are going to cut a window out of here, and we're going to cut through 2 pieces, the DSP and the cardstock, and I want to center this and keep it centered. So I am going to use some repositionable tape, use some sticky notes. I would just use something to keep it straight. Then I'm going to bring in, I have my number 1 plate, my number 2 plate, and my bottom number 3 plate that's already scratched up. I keep my top plate as unscratched as possible. And I place it right here, and I'm going to send it through just this far, just as far as the front covering goes. And I need my unscratched, another number 3 plate that is unscratched to place on top of this. And I'm just going to send this through. So I wind it forward and wind it back. Make sure I get that. Yep. And I just have to undo this. And I'm going to be using I've used this tape before, so I didn't think it was too sticky. Pop these out. I'm gonna save this because it is useful, and I'll show you some things that it's useful for. But this is the piece that I want. That's going to be my popping out piece. So I'm going to fold my card, and you can see I've got my window, and this is going to be fitting back in the middle where it came out of, and it fits exactly because that's what we cut out. Okay. But before we can make the mechanism that does that, get a bone folder here. I should have creased this. Helps it stay down a little bit. I do want to put my inside panel in. This is my 5 by 3 3/4, except it doesn't look that small. I don't think this is 5 by 3 3/4. I really like 5 by 3 3/4. Yeah, I didn't. This is a quarter sheet. So I'm just going to trim it to 5 by 3 3/4. And you can use a quarter sheet. It depends. I just happen to like that size for inside panels. I almost always cut my inside panels to that size. So I'm going to do a little stamping, and that's going to go with my card. And the colors I'm going to be using are Old Olive, Pecan Pie, and Cherry Cobbler. Now the Pecan Pie is not really in this. The Old Olive and the Cherry Cobbler is in this designer series paper. But I need the Pecan Pie because I'm going to do a little piece of a branch. And I wanted my branch to look like a branch. I could have done it in Old Olive, but I think I'm going to just do it. Now these stamps are photopolymer, which is what we're going to, strictly photopolymer, pretty soon. And I'm going to put a different greeting on the front, but this greeting, that is not on there very even. And if you have trouble getting your greetings on evenly, just let them lay down on a grid paper like this, and pick them up, and they'll be a lot more even. Okay, and I'm going to stamp in Cherry Cobbler because I'm going to stamp in Cherry Cobbler on the front. I'm just going to grab, got a little bit right there. I'm going to take that off. It says, wishing you a day filled with many happy moments. And I'm going to put that over here on the left. Okay, great. Okay, and now I'm going to add some pine boughs, and that's why I need the branch. But I don't want this whole branch. This is the smaller of the two branches. There's a small branch and then there's a larger branch. So I just wanted the smaller branch, but I don't even want all of that smaller branch. I only want the bottom part of it, just like this. It's going to stamp off. So I'm going to really carefully, hopefully, really carefully, only stamp up the bottom part of this branch. I'm not even putting that top part on my ink pad. Okay, so I just want a little bit of this branch. If you can see it, the bottom part's going off the page, and that's what I want, because I just want a little bit of this branch on here. And then they have a single pine bough, and then they have two groups of three. They have one that's spread out and one that's closer together. I'm using the one that's closer together because as I looked at it, it fit these branches, and this one fits some of these bigger branches. Okay, so I chose that one to, and I'm going to put some pine boughs on the front of my card too that kind of coordinate with this DSP pattern. So I'm going to ink these up in Old Olive. And they just fit on here. You just kind of, I hope my head's not in the way, you just kind of hover over your branches and press them down. And so you can see I have a little piece of the branch and my pine boughs and my greeting sentiment. And this is what's going to go on the inside of my card first before I start building the mechanism that's going to make the middle part pop out. So you definitely want to adhere this down first. And I am going to use tape because anytime I'm going to write on something, I always use some tape on it. I just use a couple pieces. It doesn't take much to. And see, I like this is why I like the 5 by 3 3/4 because it has a nice border on it. Okay. So now I can start building the mechanism that slides out, and I'm going to take my pop-up box that's 3 by 2, and I've already scored this at 3/4, 1 1/2, and 2 1/4. And if I just fold this, it creates a box like that I am going to glue down here. Okay, so I want to glue or use tape, either one. I lay it flat, and I want my whatever I'm going to use to adhere it, whether you're glue or tape, on the top one and the bottom one. Okay. And this is going to create my box. So I turn this over and I place it, I'm just judging. I want it in the middle pretty much. And don't go past that score line. Just a smidge under that score line. Okay. And then I'm going to fold this and press it down because I had the glue on that other end, and I'm going to press that down just like that. So it looks flat right now, kind of pokes up. But when I bend my card, you can see the box is formed, which is going to hold up the second mechanism I'm going to put on here. Here it is. This is my slider mechanism, and it has a score on the long side at 1 inch, and I'm going to tape or glue this right on top of there, and this will allow this piece, when I put it on, to rise and fall with that. So I need a little more glue. And if you'll notice, the 1 inch is not in half. So there's a long edge and a shorter edge. I'm going to glue the longer edge and let the shorter edge be the edge that moves up and down. And I just place that right on top of there. And I'm going to let that glue dry for just a moment. I'm going to set that to the side while that's drying, and I'm going to bring this back in because I have a panel, there it is. I tell you, it all blends into the table here. Okay, let me put all these little sticky notes over here. And this white panel is going to go right on top of this green panel, which is going to go on top of our mechanism that we just that we're letting dry for a minute so that it'll hold together. We're just letting that dry. Okay, so it's going to go on top. And I have a greeting out of this set. I picked from our family to yours, and then we already stamped inside, wishing you a day with many happy moments. So this could be a Christmas card. This could be whatever you want it to be, you know. It is kind of Christmassy, not brown. We're going to go cherry cobbler for our greeting, and we're going to put that in the lower right hand corner so that we have room. And I'm using my Stampin' Pierce mat, and I have a piece of paper on here just to catch little stray things like that. And I am going to just stamp this in the lower right hand corner. Okay. From our family to yours. Okay. Now, on some of the cards, I took this piece and I cut stuff out of it. And I'll show you. I cut some flowers, I cut some leaves, I did several different things with these. I decided what I really liked with this particular card was to do this pattern again with the branch and the pine boughs. I was a little more fond of that. So that's what I'm going to do on this one. Well, in fact, voila, Magical TV. I have one done. And I stamped, they have the little berries stamps, but they were kind of big for me. So what I would do is, and I'll show you on the inside, what I would do is I take my alcohol marker in light cherry cobbler, and don't take the brush tip, take the bullet tip, and just go ahead and draw like 3 little berries on each branch. I mean, it's not hard to make little circles, and you make little berries like that turn out even better, I think, rather than these bigger berries that didn't really fit. But I have that done, so I think I'm going to go ahead and use that. But that's what I did. I just stamped the branch again. I stamped the pine boughs again. I put a pine cone, which was from this set. There's a little pine cone. I put a little pine cone over there. And I'm going to use that right on top of our olive green, our old olive piece that we have cut already. So I'm just going to put a little glue on here. I'm going to put it right side up. Do I have red on my hands? So okay, so now we have this mechanism. It's dry, and this one kind of points down a little bit, but it slides, okay, and it is going to hold this piece. But you need to shut your card base. I might have put that a little tight up there. I can slip that in. Okay, and you need to press this down pretty hard because it wants to be the box. So I press that down pretty hard, and I'm gonna place this right in there. Now, I'm only going to have glue on this piece, and I'm not even going to go all the way down. I'm just going to put it like part way down, 2/3 of the way, but I'm going to put some glue on there. And then I just carefully place this back in the hole it came out of. Oops. Keep it right in there. And it will open. And you might have to push the bottom part down a little bit. But it opens and closes. It pops out. It's so cute. I love this. I have some others to show you. Just like that. Okay. So I'm going to share some others with you that I made. I'll show you my first one where I got so excited about figuring out the pop-up thing, I forgot to put the inside in. And it is possible to cut one that's shorter than 5, that's shorter than the 5-inch. You can still do the 3 3/4 across, but I think it was 3 1/4 that goes up to this mechanism in the bottom. But this was just with Autumn, and I took this piece that was from here, and I just cut out a little leaf, and I put a little embellishment, which reminds me I wanted to put an embellishment on this one too. Did I pull those? I meant to pull those. There they are. So I would put an embellishment on this one. Seems that I always go to my red ones. I like those. I like red and gold. So I would probably put maybe 3 up here. I'm glad I looked at that and remembered. So that makes it even more delightful looking to have some gems on there. And these are the gems I'm sending out next month. Full packages, of course. Okay, so we have that one. We have that. That was my first one where I forgot to do the inside first. Because after you glue down that mechanism, you know, it's harder to put the paper in, of course. And then I did the gathering together, and again I cut out a leaf. I just have various little leaf patterns, and so I just cut a leaf out of this same paper, and it looked just like really pretty, I thought. Just had the mixture of the papers, and I put expressing heartfelt gratitude, many thanks. Then I did an autumn toile, and sometimes you can cut out of this extra piece. You can cut out, if you're good at fussy cutting, which I am not good at fussy cutting. So I wanted some of the pumpkin, so I just took one of my very small circle punches and did a circle punch and got some of the pumpkin in there, put a few of my, I think these are streak dots. And then I stamped from that set with the pumpkins. I stamped part of the pumpkin here. I'm blessed to have you in my life. On the front it says, you're simply the best. I thought that one turned out really nice. I did a thank you card using Country Lace, which is in the last chance list right now, and I think it's on sale, pretty reasonable price. So I used gray granite in the background, and I think that's what I used. Yeah, gray granite, and I used a darker gray to stamp it, and I stamped flowers out of Charming Day to do this one. And I just stamped those all over. I didn't really take anything from this paper at all. I just, because it was the lacy thing, so I just decided to do the Charming Day stamps. I put some gray dots in there. And then this was also from Charming Day. They had leaves, and I put happy birthday. Thanks for being, oh, this wasn't just a thank you card. It says, thanks for being you. Happy birthday. And again, it has the little mechanism inside to slide up and down. And then I did a condolence card, and I was using, and this paper's on sale too. This is mixed florals. It's down to $11.25 for a package. The outside, this greeting came from Unbounded Love. My heart goes out to you. Sending heartfelt sympathy. This flower and this one, of course, both came from Charming Day. This was just a die cut, and I just die cut it out of this paper, you know, that came out of that center. I just cut it out of that and put some gray pearls on there. I have black in the background as my background for that because it's a condolence card. Anyway, so those are all the cards that I made using this pop-up flip out card design. And by the way, I learned this fold from Connie Stewart. I changed a few of the things because she's really good at fussy cutting. And so she was fussy cutting to beat the band, to do all this little stuff that I stamped and die cut and circle cut and all that. She did a lot of fussy cutting on hers. I did not, because I'm not good at that. And she remembered to put her insides in when I forgot to do that. But anyway, this is the paper that just to show you how versatile this card is. These are the measurements for this card. You can take a screenshot, or you can stop the video, whatever you need to do. My old olive, my card base was 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. My branching out die, I used number 4 on, that was the larger one, to cut out the center. My pop-up box was 3 by 2, and with the long side, the 3-inch side at the top, you score at 3/4 of an inch, 1.5 inches, and 2 1/4 inches to form that box mechanism. Then the slider mechanism that you are able to glue it back onto is 2.5 by 2, and with the long side at the top, score that at 1 inch. The basic white that I use for the middle of this one, and I used basic white on several of them. I used I think very vanilla on this one, but the rest of them I did use basic white because they all had white in them, and I was able to do that. So the inside panel is 3 3/4 by 5, and I just remind myself, do that first before you do that mechanism thing. The outside greeting is 2 1/4 by 3 1/4, and cut it with branching out die number 5. If you want to cut pine boughs from this set, and I did cut some pine boughs around here somewhere. Anyway, I don't know where they went. You need a scrap that's about 2 by 3, and then you can use this die to cut out some pine boughs. Oh yeah, I want to show you one other thing. One other alternative with the set. Let's hold this for a minute. Your designer series paper, the elegant pines and snowflakes. I used the white background with the leaves, the pines, and the holly berries, was 5 1/4 by 4. And the white snowflake or other die for the focal point. Now this was my other choice. I kind of ended up liking these pine boughs. I thought they went with it pretty well. But also in the Delicate Pines set, there's some snowflakes that go with, that match the Delicate Pines paper. And you could use that as a focal point and even pop that up on dimensionals and still have the same type of thing, which is very pretty. So that's a die from the Delicate Pines set, and it works really, really pretty on that too. And I used my traditional sparkling sequins on that. So those are your measurements. Kind of lay those right there if you want to take a screenshot, or if you're stopping the video, don't forget that's an alternative. And or you could cut something out. You could cut a snowflake out of this and put it on there too. You know, any of those things. Okay. Alrighty. So I hope you enjoy this fold. I hope you try it. If you do, post it on my Facebook page. I would love to see what you come up with, what you like, what paper you want to use it for. Do you want to use it for fall or Christmas? Do you want to use it for birthday? You want to use it for something else, you know? Let me switch this up. There we go. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me today. Next week, what do I have on the agenda for next week? Where is the agenda for next week? Okay. The agenda is, ooh, we're in November. Okay, don't forget, joining special through Friday. Okay. We might be doing a double easel card, but we might be doing a box, because I've been working on boxes, and I found a couple cute ones that I think you might like. So maybe a box next week. Okay. So thank you for joining me today. I appreciate the fact that you watch and that you make cards and send cards to people. I know I try to send out several each week to my friends, and they always thank me for that. They love getting handmade cards, even when they are not perfect. So I'll see you again next Monday, and that'll be November 3rd, I believe. Righty? See you then. Bye.